Bien le bonjour. If you haven't seen yet the first part of this sub-series explaining different general mechanics and features of the Final Fantasy games, you can find a link in the description. Otherwise, welcome to this second part. Each character was the embodiment of one class, save for Cecil Harvey, but that's a story for another day. It was in this Final Fantasy that the Active Time Battle Fighting Mechanic, or ATB, made its debut. Without any visual indicator in the original SNES version, you had to wait until the 5th episode to finally get these famous gauges and see them added in the FF4 remakes. Each character and enemy had a gauge, although you could only see those of your characters that filled more or less quickly depending on a bunch of factors, and once full, allowed the player to choose and execute an action. This action triggered then another casting bar, which filling speed depended on the action itself. The DS and subsequent remakes showed that second bar to help you have a clearer view, although a lot of commands received a longer casting time alongside improved potency. Once the action was done, the gauge was fully depleted and you had to wait your turn again, rinse and repeat until the end of the battle. Every game that had the ATB system also had two customizable options, speed and mode, save for the FF13's compilation that only had the speed in the first game, then nothing in its sequels. In the wait mode, every other ATB stopped filling up while you were selecting an item, a spell or a skill, giving you the leisure to think about your next move. The active mode, however, didn't stop the other gauges, and the monsters would keep on attacking you. The speed option, you probably guessed it, changed the rate at which the ATB bars would fill for everyone, friend or foe, making them faster or slower depending on your preferences. Last different point from other games, 5 characters could fight at the same time, number never reached in the next games, not counting the multiplayer and online games, which wasn't without consequences on the rows that could only use 2 presets, 3 on the front and 2 in the back, or the opposite. That FF stood out thanks to 3 features. First off, the job system revamp. This was officially the first time the Freelancer appeared and was the default class for the characters, as it was also responsible for their default stats, swapping to another job reduced or upgraded those stats depending on the new job you chose. That stat modifier remained the same despite jobs having levels, although a lot more limited than in the third FF. All of them had passive and or active skills and started at level 0, save for Freelancer that had no levels at all. But the Freelancer, as well as another job, the Mime, automatically inherited almost all other passives and highest stats bonus of mastered jobs, making them the best jobs after indirect leveling. This time, you could actually see their progress in the menus, and they were improved thanks to ability points akin to EXP at the end of battles. When leveling up, they unlocked either new skills or those they already had could be transferred to other jobs. Because, and that's the second new feature, all jobs could equip 1 second passive or active ability from another at least at level 1. A Black Mage was able to use the jump command of the Dragoon, though I strongly advise against it. The Freelancer and Mime could respectively set 2 and 3 abilities. The last feature that reoccurred in FF12 was that all spells were unlocked for the team. When you bought a spell, everyone could use it and not only one character, as long as you had the ability level required. Back to the one class for one character formula, I'll go deeper into details about these in other videos. A new feature for the ATB was added, the ability to pass a character's turn without depleting their gauge. This option was added in many Final Fantasy IV remakes, but strangely not in the FF5 ones. What was really unique compared to the Episode 4 was the Magicite feature. Those magic stones could summon once per battle the creatures of the same name, and each character could only equip one at a time. On top of it, they permanently taught you spells once you won enough acquisition points. Unfortunately, you couldn't use spells you were still currently learning, but some of them had a higher acquisition rate depending on the Magicite. Simply put, for each AP won at the end of a fight, they were multiplied by the rate associated with each magic. Those APs were the points gained by each spell individually, and knowing that 1 AP equaled 1% of acquisition, As an example, you needed 10 AP to learn Blizzard from Shiva, or only 5 to learn it from Bismarck. Additionally, most of them gave a permanent stat bonus when leveling up. You could then try to help boosting some low stats, or just carry on upgrading your character's strong points. I'll cover the magicites and spells associated in the right videos. The equipment was reduced to a weapon, a protection slot like a bangle or an armband, and an accessory. The first two could have slots for inserting in the nifty new feature of this game, the Materias. Those colored marbles allowed the use of magic spells when they were green, summons when they were red, special skills when they were yellow, and passive stats boost or passive effects like increasing or lowering the random encounters when they were purple. The blue Materias added, thanks to the linked slots, more effects to green ones, and red ones too in limited ways. The Materias could be swapped between characters and slots how you wanted outside of battles. The heroes that could not be more than 3 in battle would mostly be defined through their character design and their limit breaks, because in this episode, permanent stats boosting items appeared, allowing you to even their weaknesses. This game only allowed us to control one character, Zack Fair. Essentially an action RPG title, you had to deal with the jackpot roulette on the upper left corner called Digital Mind Wave, or DMW. The numbers would randomly buff you, level you up or your equipped materials, whereas the icons triggered summons or limit breaks. The different icons of the DMW were unlocked through the main story and some side missions for the summons. FF7's Materias came back in the same way, only the red Materias were passively equipped, leaving you with 4 slots, then 6 once you reach a point in the main story. Other equipments were limited to 2 accessories, then 3 and eventually 4 thanks to some key items rewarded in side quests. You had control over Vincent Valentine for most of the game, and sometimes Ketchy. The former character's playstyle was an action RPG, but with a third-person shooter mechanic, and the latter was more stealth-oriented. The equipment entirely focused on Vincent's gun. You could change different parts for a total of 3 sets. It could increase the power, but also turn it into a sniper rifle or a machine gun. Materials had their color code changed and only acted as magic bullets. And we'll stop here for today. See you in the next video. Prenez soin de vous et amusez-vous bien.